I don't even have a question. I just wanted to be up here with you, honestly. Thank you so much.
Well, lucky you.
Wow. I don't know what to say. Like, I just want to say thank you. I've been listening to you since I was 16, and I'm gonna be 25 soon. So, yeah, me and my inner being, we're so close. We have such a great friendship. I love my inner being, and I know they love me, and I take everything you say to heart, and I just want you to know that, and thank you for choosing me.
Well, maybe you didn't come up here to get something. Maybe you came up here to give something.
Wow.
Which is a vibrational match for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Good? Are you good?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would like to chew on things I've heard you say, more specifically and deeply on the subject of past lives. But I think, for me, I think of it as like past work. Specifically, I'm an artist, and I heard you say once, do you know what it...
We'll hear you.
Okay.
And then we'll get you.
Okay. Go on. So I heard you say once, do you know what it feels like for us when you pick up a book that you wrote in another life? And it hit me so hard, and shortly after that, this was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, that exact thing happened. It was like the most beautiful day, and I accidentally was really early to work. I got the time wrong, so I got to go to this place I'd always been admiring, and I walked in, and I was so guided, and I found these books by this woman, and it was exactly the way you had described it in that clip I heard. I was just shaking, and so I felt like I had this connection somehow. And when you've talked about the John Adams story.
Samuel.
Sam Adams, whatever. And how all three were like, it's me, and how it can be, it's not like a one-for-one specificity. So the work, is it continuing for lifetimes? Does it evolve? Are we different sides of the same work?
The easiest place to step into this, because it's big, is to acknowledge that you are, each of you, an eternal being. And that because you are eternal, you like the leading edge. And the leading edge is where thoughts turn to things. The leading edge is where the contrast produces the desire, and the focus allows the results, and the results are what you call tangible, real life, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, physical manifestation. Everyone who has been physically focused, who is now non-physically focused, is very interested in what's going on here on the leading edge. And there is an absolute continuity among all of that. You don't live one physical life experience. You are non-physical energy expressing yourself. You like balance and you like understanding, and so you do choose different environments in which to immerse yourself, to activate different aspects in order to launch different rockets, because it's just really, really fun to do that. But the difference between how it is seen from non-physical and how humans mostly want to see it is that there's not this pattern or path or pre-assigned prerequisite. It is really spontaneous, in the moment, inspired creation. That's what you come for. In other words, if we could encapsulate the attitude that the consciousnesses that you are holding or focused upon as you are making the decisions to come into this physical experience, it's more like, well, this should be fun, let's see how this goes, than it is, boy, I'm going to get it right this time. Because you know that there isn't any getting it wrong. that it is expansion. And this is what you really know. You know that you are love expressing, and that you might in this lifetime connect wholly with that idea so that it just keeps recycling with you in this physical body. And you also know that you may return to non-physical before you remember that again. But you don't see that as any big problem, because you all know, 100% of you know that 100% of you are going to return to who you really are, and that it was all of value. That it was all of value. And that's why it is so easy to not have regret from the non-physical perspective, because you understand that it is all of value. Sometimes people are appreciative of us because of the clarity and the answers that we offer. But if it were not for the clarity in the questions that you offer, then this would not have been summoned. In other words, we really are all in this together. And the wanted into the stick and the absence of what is wanted into the stick are all part of the experience. And so, what's the goal? What's the goal of life? What's the objective? To live. It's the active, in the moment experience of becoming, of continuing to become. And so, yes, of course, everything that you've lived before is part of the platform of that which you now are. But we want to, and we almost cut you off before we heard the extension of your question as you first sat down, because none of you came into these experiences intending to recall past lives and pick up where you left off, because it is not like that. Because you're not climbing the rungs of a ladder. It's not like that. People come up with these ideas, like they come up with the idea of luck, because they can't figure out how life works. And the only reason that people can't figure out how life works is because they're trying to figure it out based upon what they're seeing with humans living, instead of calibrating to the true liver of the life that is them. That's why we spend almost all of our conversation wanting to help you to feel the wholeness of who you are, because it's only in knowing the wholeness of who you are that you can understand what this part of you is about right now. And so what you want to talk about is all these parts of you, all these parts of you, all these parts of you, all these parts of you. And what we want to talk about is this part of you that became because of all these parts of you, but it's this. That's why we say there's no regression. If you go back and try to figure out another life that you've lived, that's regression. That's trying to regain a perspective in a different time with a different set of different people with different bags of marbles. In other words, it's like trying to understand your parents or their parents, or even to make sense of your own childhood. In other words, you just cannot perceive from other than where you now stand. And the biggest part of that, the reason that you cannot perceive very far from where you now stand, is because your inner being will not go back. That's the thing that is the biggest difference between human tendencies and non-physical intentions. Your inner being is not looking back, always looking forward to the becoming of what you've already set into motion. Because the path of least resistance is the becoming. It's what's becoming. That's where the flow is. That's what's natural, you see. And so we never talked about past lives with anyone. The story that you are reminding us all of is Jerry and Esther landing in Boston many, many years ago, not long after Esther had begun receiving us. And as they were landing, we offered a very soft thought to Esther. And she was in such a blissful place, she got right hold of that. And the thought was, you're really going to like Boston because you've lived here before. In fact, it was your last place of physicality. And Esther said, guess what, guys? This was Tracy and Jerry. Her daughter and Jerry were with her. This is where I was last physical. And we said, all of you. It's where you were last in physical form. And Esther said, who was I? Who was I? Who was I? Jerry said, who was I? Tracy said, who was I? I said, you'll know. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. They made their way to their hotel. They dumped off their things and went right out to the streets. We said, when you stand before the statue that is you, you will know. We were famous. The statue. So off they went, out into the darkness, standing in front of statues. There's a lot of them in Boston. And when they stood before the statue of Samuel Adams, all of them at the same moment, in the same voice, said, "I was Samuel Adams." And then they looked at each other. "What is wrong with you? I was Samuel Adams." And we said, the energy that is now in the three of you was the same energy that was in Samuel Adams. And so we said, we'll show you your favorite place to eat. And so Esther's wearing 6-inch heels, and she's scraping through the cobblestones. Down this place, down this place, down this place. Jerry said, "I don't think we want to be back here in this dark, dark place." And we stopped and said, "Here it is." And on this old building was a plaque that said, "Boston's first eatery." Then they said, one of them said, "Show us where we're buried." And so the next day on the tour, they got off the double-decker bus, and all the headstones of all the famous people, you know, the ones that have statues, are all up front in this graveyard. And there was the headstone. And we said, "Not here, back there." So we walked them back and said, "Here you are." And it was just grass. Made no sense. And Esther said, "I never thought I'd say it, but Abraham missed that one." And then they got on the bus again, and the driver said, "Oh, by the way, they've moved all the headstones up to the front to prevent looting and that sort of thing, and to make it easier for people to see." So, yeah, you can pick up on what you were before, but really, why? Why? You need to justify who you are now by who you were then? Really, you're going to make that connection? If Esther tries too hard to make that connection, they'll put her in the insane asylum. Most of the world does not want to know. Much of the world wants to believe that this is your one chance to get it right. And if you screw it up this time, then it's all over. In other words, most people don't want to know about the continuity of their experience. And we really don't want you to know very much about the continuity of your experience either, for this reason. We want you to focus on where you're going, not where you are, is the message all day long. So really, if we're not even wanting you to examine what you think is this now reality, we want you to look over here, you really think that there's value in looking before that and before that and before that and before that and before that?
It's not as much about just the past. I love how you, I love,
Stories are entertaining, yes.
no, yes, I love, you can't get it wrong and you never get it done.
Right.
And you say...
and the reason that you can't get it wrong is because you never get it done.
And
in other words, whatever you're living causes you to ask for...
And I take so much comfort in when you're like, you could have 20 or 30 lifetimes and you wouldn't get through all the work, at least this is how I hear it, you wouldn't get through all the work that you have ready to pop, because I feel like I never run out of ideas, and it feels like not as much I need to know the past and what I did back then, but it feels like that feeling of time not existing.
Which feels a lot better than shortage consciousness. It's what really living in the now is. And living in the now is understanding who you really are so that you can be aware of all that you are living right now. There is so much more awareness of who you are and what's around you and who others are. The deliciousness of life experience is so much more full than most people are in a position of understanding. Where once you get the sense of who you are and you begin practicing looking at this moment and this moment and this moment through the eyes of Source, then there can be so much more satisfying convergences of people and ideas and experiences. That's what you're experiencing with the comic books and the movies and the collaboration that is coming. In other words, once you reach that place where you know that you are a collaborator and you allow yourself to collaborate with the whole of who you are, not the past of who you are, the present tense, which you want to call future tense, the present tense of who you are, that's when life is really, really rich.